Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We have officially reached the third trimester recap video. Wow. Cannot believe I'm sitting down to film this. I'm actually still pregnant. I'm 40 weeks and 4 days pregnant. This is the bump right now. Doesn't fit in my shirt, but we're looking large, ready to pop. I thought since I'm still waiting for this little baby's arrival, might as well just sit down and film this video. And while it's all fresh in my mind still, I don't feel like I have a ton to report back on my third trimester. I know everyone's third trimesters are so different. And I feel really fortunate that mine was pretty easy. I feel like everyone talks about the third trimester in such a daunting way of like, oh, you just wait, like the third trimester, oh, you feel good now, you just like hold on in there, you know? And people are so negative when it comes to just like the end of pregnancy and what you're in for practically. Obviously there's discomforting things. You're growing a huge baby at this point in your belly and you're carrying that baby around and stuff, but I just want to make this a positive video because I had a very positive experience, and so I just hope I can pass that along to you guys. So week 28, I got a 3D ultrasound, which was so much fun. And it was just so fun seeing his little face. And we found out that he was head down, face down, in the perfect position for birth. Not so perfect of a position for pictures. So the pictures didn't turn out amazing. And he was being quite the little stinker. Every time the ultrasound tech got his face, he'd turn. So we got a lot of ear shots of him. But I thought that was a pretty exciting way to start my third trimester, is just knowing he was in that right position. And obviously that early they can always switch. He didn't. He has stayed face down, head down. So that was very exciting. I don't know if I mentioned in my last video, but I, at this point, had gained 8 pounds. I am looking in my baby book because I have been keeping everything in here. And so I have that I had gained 8 pounds by this point in week 28. So in week 29, I feel like that's when I started feeling more of like limby movements. And what I mean by that is like more like elbows, like sharper objects moving around in my belly rather than like soft little like kicks and stuff. I think he was starting to get a little bit more crammed in there and things just started feeling a little bit sharper. And I think that has continued to be the case up until probably weeks like 35. I just was feeling more like sharper movements, like as he grew up, more hitting my ribs and my hip bones and using my ribs and hip bones to press his booty out. I will insert a video here. He loves to just like push his butt out. And my ribs are typically his push off point to do so. So at 32 weeks pregnant, I know I'm skipping forward quite a bit, but I just really didn't have any new symptoms much throughout my third trimester. My leg cramps got worse. The Charlie horses in the middle of the night. I started waking up to pee a little bit more often. I also started experiencing midnight hunger at a more extreme level, like to the point where I was like, I can't get back to sleep unless I eat a bar or something. So I have like bars on my bedside table and I would just eat a bar and then I'd go back to sleep really well. But in week 32, I had my last day at my job and they threw me like a little goodbye luncheon, got me a cute little cake, and it was a fun celebratory last day working. Week 33, I feel like I gained a lot of my energy and motivation back, and I think it probably had to do with stopping work, to be quite honest. But I feel like I was like in nesting mode at that point, and I was like just wanting to move a lot and take care of stuff around the house, and I just like got really active. I also went back to Washington that weekend and we redid our 3D ultrasound and got so much better of pictures. Just looking at the ultrasound, we think that little baby Molt has Nolan's nose and my lips and cheek structure. I'll put like kind of a comparison photo of like his 3D ultrasound with Nolan and I's baby pictures. She said he had lots of hair, and she was also saying how low he was. And at this point, I think around week 33, I felt like he had dropped lower into my pelvis. And so when she said that, I was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness that you just said that, because I felt like I was crazy for feeling that, but I just started feeling a lot of weight and pressure on my pelvic floor and kind of like in my hips because of just like the heaviness. And she was like, yeah, he's super low. So that happened, I think, in week 33. So in week 32, I went to my midwife appointment and they measure your fondal height. So like to the top of your uterus. He had consistently been measuring 2 weeks behind. And so she's like, you know, just to be safe, let's just do a medical ultrasound. Just make sure that he's getting the right nutrients and he's measuring okay, like in the weight department. So in week 34, we had that ultrasound and he was perfectly healthy, definitely had enough nutrients. He looks like a little like plump little boy in the ultrasound, and he was 63rd percentile for his measurements. So they were saying he was 5 pounds 14 ounces at that point. So that was good news. He just was 2 centimeters low, which is what made me measure low, is because he was just so low in my pelvis, and he's continued to stay so low in my pelvis. I think I've just gotten used to it at this point, just having that weight there. But I feel like it's going to be quite the relief once I have him. My pelvic floor is going to be like, oh, I can breathe again. It was so funny because immediately when she got the ultrasound wand thing on his face, he like stuck his tongue out like, and I was like, oh my gosh, did he just stick his tongue out? And she's like, oh yeah. He is sucking your placenta and just going to town on it. And he, the whole time, was just sucking on the placenta. Like, it was, like, up against his face. So we didn't get good pictures of him, which was okay because we had just had the 3D ultrasound. But it was just so funny. I'm like, oh, no, he's going to be a hungry, hungry boy. He was, like, yawning and moving. And it was just, like, it was so fun because that ultrasound was much easier to watch him. And it was just, like, really special to just watch him in there because I'm always like, what are you doing in there? Are you having fun? Like, seems so boring just to sit all crammed in there, but he is making his own fun. So around 33 weeks, I started experiencing his hiccups, like a lot. Not just every now and then, like 2 to 3 times a day. It's usually like about an hour after I eat, he'll get the hiccups. And at first I felt so bad. I was like, oh, you poor thing. Like, hiccups are so annoying. And he had like big hiccups and they lasted for quite a long time. But at our 34-week ultrasound, she was like, oh no, that's a really good sign. It just means he's taking really good, efficient practice breaths. So then after that, I was like, okay, that's probably a good sign that he's getting the hiccups. He gets the hiccups all the time. And sometimes it wakes me up at night because I feel like little like in my belly. And I think it's like the rhythm of it wakes me up. So week 36, I had another appointment and I said I had gained 14 pounds at that appointment, like overall, not 14 more pounds, just throughout the whole pregnancy. In week 36, I also finished packing all of our hospital bags and sanitizing all his items and washing his clothes, getting his nursery all ready. That was exciting for week 36. Week 37, I said that I got some maternity photos taken. We just ended up doing them at our house. Nolan obviously is very camera savvy, so he just took the pictures of me. And then we set some up on a tripod and took them of ourselves. But that was fun just to do last minute bump shots because the ones that we did in Hawaii, I'm like, I look back now, I'm like, oh, my belly was like not that big compared to what it is now. And they turned out so cute. So in week 38, my parents got here and they're still here waiting for him to be born. They're going to be here until after Christmas. But I feel like that week I started really actually feeling pregnant. Like before that, I was probably moving way too much, going way too hard. At the end of the day, I'd get in my Epsom salt bath and I'd be like, my body aches. But I was just like trying to get everything ready and I just had a lot of energy and I was just moving a lot, just getting everything on my to-do list done so we would be ready for him when he came. I slowed down a lot once they got here, and I just felt like I was so pregnant. I felt just like really heavy. My hips and my back were hurting pretty badly. I feel like that only lasted like 1 week because I feel like I've kind of gotten my energy back and I don't feel that way anymore. So I don't know if he like just went through a little bit of a growth spurt and my body was just kind of like repositioning, readjusting. But I remember the week of Thanksgiving, I was like, oh my gosh, like I see what people are talking about now. I'm okay now and I feel better now. So that was all the symptoms that I had tied to like specific weeks throughout my third trimester. Like I said, I didn't really experience anything crazy. So I had my appointment this week for my 40 week and I was 2 days. I have gained 18 pounds so far overall, like in my entire pregnancy. So I think that's pretty good. I haven't been swollen or anything. I know a lot of people experience third trimester swelling, like my rings still fit, my feet look completely normal. I feel like I pee all the time. I'm peeing like literally anytime I get up. If I'm like in bed and I roll over, I'm like, oh, I probably should go pee. If I get off the couch, I'm like, I need to go pee. And like sometimes he'll move up against my bladder and I'm like, whoo, almost pee my pants. I actually have peed my pants twice in the third trimester when I sneeze and I don't have my legs closed. So that's fun. I don't feel like as far as food aversions go, much has changed. I still like food just doesn't really sound great to me, but I've been eating my dates, drinking raspberry leaf tea, and just trying to prepare my uterus and cervix for labor. I had an appointment yesterday and I'm 3 centimeters dilated and 70% effaced, which is a great sign. I did get a stretch and sweep and it made me very crampy afterwards, a little bit bloody. I was really hoping it would kick me into gear and kick me into active labor, but here we are. I still am like getting some crampy feelings, some like off and on bleeding, some tightenings in my belly. Like last night I had lots of tightenings that felt like contractions, like that wrapping feeling. So I think my body's trying so hard to go into labor and push the baby out, but he's super, super, super low. She's like, oh my gosh, his head is right there. Like he's in the perfect position. So we just have to get me into active labor now. The other weird thing is around week 39, I started experiencing it's not acid reflux, definitely not acid reflux, but kind of like this choking feeling. Like I was choking on water a lot, choking on my food a lot. So I don't know if he's like squishing something in there. That was kind of like a strange thing that I've experienced towards the end. I think overall, my third trimester has been super awesome. Like I've felt great. I've slept harder than I've ever slept in my life. Probably has a lot to do with how active I've been, but I sleep great, like a rock. And I feel almost bad saying that because I feel like I'm bragging to all these third trimester moms that probably aren't sleeping really well. But I swear the key is a good pregnancy pillow. I think, found the most perfect pregnancy pillow. I will link it down below because you can use your own pillow. It's just like really hardy and fluffy on the sides, and I truthfully think that is what has made my sleep so good. But I've loved being pregnant. I'm like sad to not be pregnant anymore, but I'm so ready to meet this little boy and give him cuddles. I think that's all for my pregnancy symptoms in the third trimester. Pretty boring. Nothing much to report. I kind of experienced the same things that I experienced in my second trimester. So if I can think of anything else, I will put it here because I know when I'm editing this video, I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, you forgot to say this. I knew as soon as I put the camera away, I was going to be like, oh my gosh, you forgot to talk about that. I'm just going to mention this really quickly about Braxton Hicks because I feel like I've experienced good Braxton Hicks, especially when I'm bending over to pick something up or really active, like grocery shopping. I would get Braxton Hicks, going on long walks, maybe later in my pregnancy. I think I've been experiencing a lot of Braxton Hicks at nighttime. Around 38 weeks, at nighttime would wake up and my belly would be so tight and I would feel like that Braxton Hicks feeling. I would wake up in the middle of the night and feel really, really crampy. My belly would feel tight and they didn't feel like contractions, I don't think. Just kind of like an overall tightening of the belly. And I started progressively, week 38 39, now 40. I have gotten more and more crampy feelings at nighttime and more of that like period cramp feeling. Week 40, I've had, like, if I wasn't pregnant right now, I would go put a tampon in because I'd be like, okay, I'm starting my period like any minute. I've had that kind of cramping. So just wanted to throw that in there. Maybe I'll think of something else. Probably will. But I've definitely experienced a lot of Braxton Hicks. 4 nights ago, I started experiencing Braxton Hicks every 10 minutes, actually. I thought for sure I was going into labor. Obviously, I didn't. Just throwing that in there. I hope this encouraged some moms out there that your 3rd trimester does not have to be so terrible. You can have a good 3rd trimester. I think it has a lot to do with your mindset and your attitude. Obviously, there's aches and pains. Like, you're carrying around this, like, gigantic baby in the front of you. Like, my hips are just hurting all the time. My back's hurting all the time. But there's just happy things at the end of it. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel and tick the bell so you get notified every time I post. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!